Hey, what's up everybody? Will Hamilton here, and thanks for joining me live. Thanks for watching after the fact, but wanted to do this video and follow up on a question I posed about 2 days ago. I shared this point against a buddy of mine named Kenny. He's a very good player, and I lost the point. And I posed this question. I said, what poor decision did I make that put me in a bad spot in that particular point? So I wanted to make this video and share my perspective on why I lost this point. Now, a lot of people left comments below, and thank you everybody who left a comment. Some awesome comments in there, some things that, and let me just make the point that there's no right answer here. We got a guy on Team FYB, Faisal Hassan, amazing coach. One of the things he says is, there's no right or wrong, there's just consequences. And I think that's a great line, because just because I might think something doesn't necessarily mean it's the right answer. It's just my perspective. And a lot of folks had perspectives that I hadn't really considered. And I thought them through. I was like, wow, that's actually a really good point. So I'll probably be doing this more. People seem to like it. One thing, leave me a comment below this video. I would love to know, we're trying to figure out how you can post videos of you playing, like one point, a 30-second point, a minute-long point, and you can get everybody in the group to share their feedback. I think that would be really cool. So if that's interesting, if that's something you would want to do, something you want to see, whether it's you want to share a point or you just want to have somebody else share a point, you can comment on it. Either way, let me know in the comments below. And then Tech Wizard Adam Szyminski, sitting over here off screen, is going to, you're going to tell us how to do it, right? Because there'll probably be some wizardry involved, some basic stuff. Tech-wise?
I think that if you have Facebook on your phone, you can just upload it. You can make a post in the group or whatever, or a comment, and then attach the video
Okay.
from your phone.
Are you coming through on audio, or should I repeat it?
You could probably.
I probably repeat it. Well, my question was going to be if somebody films an hour-long match, you got to edit that down.
Yeah.
But maybe that was sort of why we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. But in terms of posting a video, super easy in the group. Should be able to do it now, just upload it off of your phone. But obviously, we got to get that thing down from an hour long if you filmed your entire match. There's chat going on right now. Jump in the chat if you're watching live. But why don't we start by playing the point? Can we do that, Adam?
Yep,
Can we play the point?
now.
All right, so Kenny, well played. Good point there. So again, got a ton of comments. Two of my favorites was why did I lose this point? Robert was like, you played somebody better than you. And then John said, no, you didn't get your first serve in. So both of you, I award you 10 imaginary points, good for imaginary tickets to Wimbledon, imaginary credits at Tennis Express. Just go crazy with those imaginary points. But so let's walk through that point. Missed the first serve and whatever. Second serve was a decent second serve. Pushed me back a little bit. A couple comments, they might have been on Facebook actually, said I shouldn't have backed up here. I guess you could make that argument. For me at least, to handle that shot, the shot that Kenny hit, I felt comfortable backing up. Actually, before we go any further on the point, one of the keys here that we absolutely have to understand is the sword and the shield dynamic. So Kenny's a righty, shield would be over here, sword is over here, dyslexic moment, shield is over here, but I'm a lefty, so my sword is on this side. It's reversed from a normal setup, and my shield is over here, and this is incredibly important to understand. This affects the entire dynamic of the point, how I set up my plays, how Kenny sets up his plays, and of course, how we use court position to attack the other guy. And so somewhere in this group, you can download this document, which has this, but in a document form, you'll totally want this thing. because this is going to inform how you construct all your plays. So Kenny pushed me back with his return. I went over here. I went down the line because I'm going at his shield. So I felt like this would be a safe way for me to defend his shot. I'm not going to get hurt if I push back to his shield. So I feel like that was the right shot for me to hit. Now Kenny hit a good shot at my shield. So typically, I push back. I would think maybe they're going to come cross court at my sword. That would immediately set me up for the battering ram, which is one of my favorite plays. That's where you just hit your sword cross court at your opponent's shield if you have this configuration. And that's why it's so important to understand the configuration and the sword versus shield dynamic, because you can't use the battering ram where I would just be hitting cross court at the shield the whole time. You can only do that if the configuration's like this. And that's a play Rafa runs all the time. You'll see him use that tomorrow against Djokovic a ton. So Kenny brings this ball back down over here, and he hit a good shot. It was high, it pushed me back, and so I drove this ball cross court over here at his sword. And I recovered, if you rewatch the point, let's say I recovered somewhere around here. So I hit a decent shot. I wasn't expecting a good push down the line at my sword, and I can go over there and cover that. So I recovered somewhere here, and Kenny's next shot came cross court, and it was a ball, because I didn't recover all the way over here, it allowed me to slide around and hit my sword. Now, this is an important, let me pull here for a second. A lot of people were saying, Will, I think the mistake you made is that when you got to this situation, you hit it back at his sword. And I would respectfully disagree that that was a mistake, because what I'm trying to do is control the middle of the court with my sword, and I come back over here at his sword because I want to give him an outside ground stroke. We're not going to discuss inside and outside ground strokes right now, but the ball crossed the plane of his body, giving him an outside ground stroke. And when I ran around this, his shot was coming into me, so it's an inside ground stroke, has not crossed the plane of my body. So I can hit, so basically because I had this shot, I can go anywhere on the court, and then I gave him this outside ground stroke. It's unlikely he's going to go down the line with that shot effectively. So what I'm trying to do by going back over here is further push him and stretch him wide. And what that does is it opens up most of his court for the shield. So only over here is the sword. The rest of the court is the shield. And on my end, I'm controlling it with my sword. So if I had instantly taken this ball and gone down the line earlier, Kenny would come over here, and if he hit a good shot cross court, and keep in mind, I've slid over, so I need to hit a good shot. If I don't, then he'd have to hit a good shot with his shield at my sword, but then he would shift over like this, and now the entire court would be controlled by his sword. And my entire court like this would be the shield. So I'm trying to prevent that from happening. Again, I'm trying to control most of the court with my sword, and I want most of the court on his shield. So ideally, what I was looking for when I hit that sword over here at his sword was another shot through the middle of the court, where now he's over here. I could then take that, force him to run, hit a good push ideally, and there we go, and force him back to move backwards and hit a shield, which is incredibly difficult. We've all had to hit that shot, and it's really hard to do. So that's what I was trying to set up. Now, Kenny, I hit a pretty decent shot. I got him over to the single sideline. I stretched him, and if you looked at the shot he hit a reverse forehand. So he didn't follow through like that. You could tell he was sort of defending because the racket released over his head, and he wasn't able to rotate and finish the swing across his body. But he hit a great shot. His shot was over here. And by the way, if you look after I hit that sword over there, and I could tell that I stretched him, my recovery was even further over here. So when I hit that backhand, I stood here. After I hit my first sword, I moved over here a little bit because I was trying to set all this up. I wasn't expecting down the line. I knew that I had stressed him. So I was sliding over more to hit even more swords, and Kenny just hit a great shot. He hit the ball there, and ball's coming like this, and I tried to run around it. And this is what a lot of people said, and I completely agree. They said, I made the mistake of trying to turn this shield into a sword. And it was too good of a shot that Kenny hit. So my next shot was through the middle. It was actually decently deep, but it wasn't a great push, even though it landed deep. And Kenny was able to get around it and turn his shield into a sword. Now I'm completely off the court. And Kenny hit another good shot. He had two good forehands, but it wasn't like, he didn't need to hit a spectacular forehand. He just hit it, maybe, I think it was like somewhere there. And I was actually up in the court, so the shot he hit forced me to move back to hit that slice. And so I'm now over here. The ball, my slice landed somewhere there. Kenny moves in. I can't remember if he hit a forehand or a sword or a shield off of this. Not that it's super important, but he hit a really good pull. So the ball landed about here. And it was a very smart shot for him to hit because he knew I'm way back here. And he hit a good pull at my shield. Now, that's a great, a pull at the shield is a great shot because the shield tends to have less, you tend to be able to hit less topspin. So a couple of people said, well, I should have tried to hit a topspin passing shot. And I don't want to say that's the wrong call, but it would have been a tough shot to pull off on the run. The ball was a little bit low for me, and I think it would have been difficult for me on the run to get that ball up and down and make sure I don't hit the ball too high over the net. Because if I hit it too high over the net, he would have an easy volley to end the point. So what I tried to hit, and I just didn't, and this is the other thing people said, which is 100% right, is they said my lob was over his sword shoulder and it should have been over the shield shoulder. And that's 100% right. We call this shot, that was weird. That was kind of cool. I tried to toss it up there. I tried to look super cool on camera. It didn't work, but then it hit this, bounced there, and then stuck. All right. Well, we're not going to do that again. That kind of worked. So we call this shot the parachute, where it goes over the shield shoulder, and that's a hard, the backhand overhead, the shield overhead is really tough. And it doesn't need to, imagine like you have a tennis ball and you like put a parachute on it, so it kind of is like floating over. I got this term from Yano Zhu, so I want to give credit where credit's due, but you're not necessarily trying to hit an outright like clean winner over them. If they get a racket on it, it's fine, because they're not going to hit a good shot. It's almost 100% going to come back over here somewhere. And in my, short, not a great shot. In my case, that would have been my shield, or excuse me, my sword, and I could have hit a winner. But I just didn't execute. And so, Kenny, again, he hit a good shot. I'm sprinting in, so that's just a hard shot. This is what I was trying to do. I didn't get a hold of it like I wanted, so it went over his sword and he put it away. The other shot that would have been a possibility would be if I hit a shot called the preacher, which would have been, and this is, I learned this term from Bob and Mike Bryan. So Bob and Mike, John McEnroe kept preaching to them, look, just hit a slice, a short, low slice that kind of like lands at their feet. So, if here's the net and here's Villain, here's you would hit a shot that lands at their feet, and it's a slice, right? So Bob and Mike were like, yeah, John kept preaching the thing, so we just started calling it the preacher. So the other shot I could have possibly hit was a preacher, and that one, I'd have to get it low over the net. You've got a teeny window, maybe like a foot or two to get it so that, to aim for so that it actually drops, because if you leave it too high, the point's going to be over, they're going to volley it away. But that was the other shot I could have tried there, and in hindsight, it might have been the better shot. Hit it low, force them to either hit a good volley down the line over the high part of the net, or more likely bring it cross court. I could probably get to it and put it away. But Kenny hit 3 good shots in a row. He hit that one, obviously hit that one, and then he hit a good pull there. So he put the pressure on me 3 consecutive shots, forcing me to come up with the goods, and I couldn't do it. And that's what you want to do as a tennis player, right? Reduce the amount of risk you're taking and increase the amount of risk your opponent has to make. Force Villain to hit a good shot. And just the key again to wrap this all up is the way he was hurting me wasn't necessarily hitting spectacular shots. He was hitting the right shot and stressing me from a court positioning standpoint. Right? I made that initial decision mistake where I should have taken this as a shield, so I wouldn't have been pulled off the court. So I kind of stretched myself off the court a little bit. That was the initial mistake. But then he hit a good push, right? He realized I was over here. Okay, push him back, then pull him in. So he hit the right shots, the smart shots, and that's what got me into trouble. So, Rixie, what's up? Darlene, what's going on? One of the things, I think that's about all I wanted to say. I don't know if anybody has any follow-up for the folks that are in chat, but we touched on Adam, just for people watching this after the fact, post in the comments below. There's two things I want you to post. So the first is just, do you think it would be cool to do more of these? Would it be helpful if you guys could start posting videos, and then we could evaluate, everybody's decision making and how they're playing points. But the other one is tomorrow we got. So unfortunately yesterday, Roger lost. I think we all wanted to see a Roger Rafa final. But that being said, a nicer guy couldn't have won. Kevin Anderson. I've known Kevin for a couple years, and he is like the best guy of all time. So personally very happy for Kevin and his wife Kelsey. They're great people. So, and they have Real Life Tennis, I think is their website, where they actually teach folks like you and me how to do some of the stuff that Kevin does. So check that out if you haven't seen it before. But it'll be you got John Isner versus Kevin, and then you got Rafa versus Novak. That's going to be, I think Rafa versus Novak is going to be a crazy match. Could be an epic one. So, trivia question for everybody watching this: what do you think the score line is going to be? This is what we used to do back in the day. We would pose questions on what we thought the score might be. So, the first person to, you're not going to guess the score perfectly, but how many sets, and then what do you think the score is going to be? Whoever gets the closest. So the last one we were giving away 10 imaginary points. We're going to give away 20 whole imaginary points. You could get 2 imaginary rackets with that, tickets to Imaginary Center Court Wimbledon. It's an unbelievable deal, probably the best deal that's ever been put together. So post in the comments below. Let me know. And then Serena just won too. I think Serena's got this thing locked up. Greatest player of all time. So it's great to see her back so quickly and back to her winning ways. With that in mind, let me see. No comments at the moment. Cool, makes my job easy. So with that in mind, thank you again, everybody, for watching this. Look forward to reading the comments and seeing what's up. And big matches tomorrow. Looking forward to watching those as well. So in the meantime, thanks again, everybody, and see y'all soon.